just going to ask everyone to do a small experiment for me. In fact, I'm going to ask you to take your cell phones, put them in your purse. I'm going to ask you to take your programs, close them. I'm going to ask you to take anything that's in front of you, put it on the floor. I want to see nothing but table and your drinks and your cookies on the table. Put it all on the floor. I know it's going to be really, really insane detachment for some of you. We will get through this together, I promise. So I'm going to have you close your folders, put them on the floor. Cell phones, computers, everything on the floor. Water, you can keep it. No, you trust me, you're going to get thirsty during this one. So before I go into I really want to talk about a serious thing, and it's something that even affects me personally. I want to talk about avoiding burnout in healthcare. For the next 2.5 days, we are going to be sitting through some exciting, riveting, boring, monotonous, scientific research that means, I'm not a scientist, so I know nothing about CCR5 and I don't know, there's like all those coding things, and I know there's a few of us that are probably a little clueless, but there's a lot, and there's a lot of time, and there's a lot of energy that goes into that. I want to share a little story with you. So I usually wake up at about 5 a.m. every single day. I usually guzzle about 52 grams of protein. I then go to the gym, I work out, and I come home. I currently hold 3 full-time jobs. I am the Global Community Engagement Director for the Alive Inside Foundation, working with assisted living and memory care facilities throughout the entire world, pairing them with youth so that we can find their music, those individuals living with dementia and Alzheimer's, so that we can spark aliveness and recreate memories so their cognitive skills come to life. Full-time job in gazillion time zones. So, second full-time job. I am a youth motivational speaker. I'm just finishing up a grad degree. I'm in school full-time to become a nationally certified family life educator, but I am a motivational speaker speaking to close to 50 to 75,000 youth a year on the topic of living with HIV. And this February, I will be 14 years surviving HIV. Kids are a tough audience, man. They, right? But then there's a lot of research, and you have to understand the community you're going into and who you're speaking to. Then my other third full-time job, which is my favorite full-time job, I'm a magician and I'm an escape artist. I'm the successor to Houdini. So I'm on stage, I'm working with my crew, I'm touring, I'm getting tied up, and I even brought my straitjacket for you all tomorrow. So, right, because we're going to lighten a little up on World AIDS Day, right? Do a little magic. So that's three full-time jobs, 1 full-time school, still trying to manage my virus, trying to find time to sleep. I am burnt out. I'm getting there. Not yet. So I am curious. Which of you identify with one of those? Who identifies with the one on the left? You all are lying. Okay. And who identifies with the one on the right? Yeah, right? Totally. So let's talk about avoiding burnout. And I really want this to be an engaging, let's help each other get through this, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this room to keep me surviving for 14 years. That is no joke. There's a lot of therapy, there's a lot of head shrinks, there's a lot of scientists, there's a lot of mice, and now that mice, we're all burning out. State of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. How many of you can identify? Okay, those of you who have your hands down are probably still stressed. Okay. When you feel overwhelmed and unable to meet constant demands. How many feel like that? Especially in the research and science world, right? Constant demands. Social work? Yeah. How many of you have ever lost interest or have begun to lose interest or motivation for your work? Honestly, you feel like you're just not making a difference. Well, I can tell you right now, I am living proof that you are making a difference. So I want you to walk away renewed and remotivated and revived, because I am one of a gazillion people living with this virus whose dreams are renewed because of each and every single one of you in this room, so you should really applaud yourselves. All right, let's get real. How many of you every day is a bad day? Every day is a bad day. For how many of you? Every day is a bad day. Some days. Caring about your home life, maybe even your work, seems, well, a waste of energy. No? So we're good? Okay. You're exhausted all the time. Right? How many of you spend the majority of your day on tasks that have nothing to do with what your work is? That are completely mind-numbingly dull or overwhelming? How many of you do that? Like boring emails, administrative work, casework, paperwork, all that stuff, right? Yeah, see? We got the wave going over there. Okay. And how many of you feel like that what you're doing is absolutely not making a difference? Sometimes? It's hard, right? Yeah. So, before we get into this, I want to tell you about making a difference. I want to tell you a story about an 18-year-old high school senior. I was speaking at a high school a few months ago, and after I was done, it was about 500 high school kids. And sometimes I wonder, when I go into some of these very sensitive, really struggling communities, that I wonder if I'm going to make a difference with these kids, right? It's like, and not to be racial profiling, but, tall, pretty white boy with a really fancy suit, he doesn't get my problems. And then I break it down, right? Suicide survivors, show them the scars, talk about the drug addiction, talk about how I didn't want to live anymore. And this 18-year-old kid, by the way, not 15, he was 18, and wanted to speak with me privately after all the other kids left. Heterosexual male, Latino, gave me a hug, started breaking down into tears. His parents had just told him that he was born HIV positive, which now answers all his questions why he was taking the magic pill that he had to take every day, because his parents wouldn't explain it. And he was like, it's your vitamin. You have to take your vitamin every day, otherwise you're going to be grounded. No cell phone, no tablet. But finally just told him. And he asked me this question. He says, am I ever going to have a girlfriend? Now, I know nothing about girlfriends. I know a whole lot about boyfriends. So I was stuck on that question. I was like, man, you are so lovable. Of course you're going to have a girlfriend, and of course you're going to be able to have sex. But you got to keep it together. And today, for that moment, for that moment in his life, he smiled. Just when you think you're not making a difference, you don't know if you're getting through to somebody, you are. So I want you to remember that when you walk away before we break to lunch today. You are making a difference. I am two-legged, two-armed, knowing that I am living proof of each and every one of your efforts from everywhere around this world. Now let's talk about everywhere around this world. I want to go around the room really quick just to show you how wide this intimate, small, global, massive group is. I'd like you to just say the city and the region where you are from, really quick, around the room. Start here. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Germany. Sprechen Sie Deutsch, ja? I used to be a Schuhplattler. I grew up at Lederhosen. I'm not kidding. Okay.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. You guys should connect. Nigeria. Oh, this way, yeah. Wow, that's a long way away. Okay. Toronto. Newark, New Jersey. That's, wow, really far. South Africa. Costa Rica. Sweden. Nepal. Memphis, Tennessee. You guys should connect. There's a whole lot of Tennessee in here. Okay. Nigeria. Panama. Chicago. Nigeria. El Paso, Texas. France. And my heart goes out to you for the recent unfortunateness. Pakistan. South Carolina. How about you? Oh, Pakistan. Beijing. And China? Beijing? Manchester, Connecticut. Connecticut. Hartford, Connecticut. Okay, by way of Puerto Rico. Got it, okay. Colombia and Hartford. All right. Nigeria. Brazil. Wow, okay. Kenya, you said? Yeah. Wow. Virginia. Cameroon. Israel? Oh, wow. Okay. Maryland. And Tokyo. I'm from New York. You couldn't tell by the accent. Wow, just take that in for a sec. That's a whole lot of energy from around the world here today. So let's talk about some of the causes of burnout. Let's talk about feeling like you have little or no control over your work. How many of you feel like you have that sometimes? Like you're just so overwhelmed. I mean, really, like no control, yeah? Or how many of you feel like there's a lack of recognition? Lack of recognition? Yeah, you feel like you need to be thanked more than you are. Or maybe you have unclear or overly demanding job expectations. Can anybody relate? Or you're doing work, again, that's monotonous or unchallenging. Or how many of you work in a chaotic, high-pressure environment? I know the rest of you all lying, because if you aren't, I want to be hired by your company, where it's more relaxing and down. And okay, now that we've talked about your work, let's talk about your lifestyle. How many of you work too much without getting much socialization, relaxation? Yeah? I can tell you that I see my friends, I literally socialize with my friends maybe once every 3 weeks, because I'm always on the road. So I FaceTime. FaceTime is that's my human connection right now. It's unfortunate. Being expected to be too many things to too many people. Can you relate? Taking on too many responsibilities without enough help from others. How many of you work in really small, knit teams and you got so much on your plate? Not getting enough sleep. Who can identify? Yeah. How many of you have a lack of close or supportive relationships? You feel like you're doing everything on your own. Maybe you can't trust somebody. Something to look at. Something to look at. Okay, now let's talk about your personalities from all over the world. Perfectionistic tendencies, nothing is ever good enough. How many of you are perfectionists? Now, I know you are all lying. Okay. If you have a pessimistic view of yourself or others or life or the things you're working on, something you might want to take a look at. Look at yourself. Do you have a pessimistic view? Are you kind of one of those people, all the time? Or do you need to be in control, or you're reluctant to delegate to others? Who's a complete control freak? I see fingers pointing at others. That's really bad, when those fingers should be pointing back at yourself. Okay. How many of you are type A personality, high achieving? Everything's got to be of the best level, right? Yeah, me too, like everything. How many of you are feeling tired and drained most of the time? Feeling tired and drained. Lowered immunity, feeling sick a lot. Frequent headaches, back pain, muscle aches? From working out? You go, girl, you go. All right. Change in appetite or sleep habits. If any of these things you've identified with, maybe one or two, okay. But 3, 4, 5, 6, I think maybe you need to, when you go back to your hotel room during lunch, really take a good look at yourself and say, man, am I really at a place where I need to be renewed? I need to find a way to deal with all of this stuff happening in my life. Okay, let me see. I think I'm hitting the wrong arrow. Okay, let's talk about your behaviors. If you're withdrawing from responsibilities, if you find yourself isolating from others, if you're using food, drugs, or alcohol to cope, I see some squinting eyes like, not me. Okay. taking out your frustrations on others, if you're skipping work or coming in late to conference sessions. Has my point been made? Thank you. Procrastinating, taking longer to get things done, like eating your brownie and cookie. Okay. Just some things to take note of. So I'm going to watch your burnout fatigue throughout the next 3 days, and I'm going to monitor it, and I'm going to take pictures when you're not looking, and then I'm going to tell a story about each of you at the end of the conference. All right, here are some things that I do. Working 3 full-time jobs, going to school full-time, always on the road, constantly having to do half the things I do on an airplane. This is what I do. I start my day with a relaxing ritual, usually when I can sleep and don't have a hotel mate that doesn't snore or sing in his sleep. So rather than jumping out of bed, my morning ritual is I get some protein, chug it down. I usually watch a little CNN or Fox, and then I go to the gym, and that is my de-stressor for the day. I am completely off balance if I don't go to the gym. I usually find myself agitated. I'm usually coming out at people, and I'm just thrown off balance. How many of you have a morning ritual? Sylvia, what do you do in the morning?
I go jogging almost every morning.
That helps you?
Yeah.
Did you jog this morning?
No.
Okay. Yeah. That's why you're stirring your cup really quick right now. And okay. Who else has got a morning ritual? Wow. Tomorrow morning, yoga, 7 a.m. Let's talk about adopting healthy eating, exercising, sleeping habits. For me, I took out most of the sugar out of my diet. You notice I did not have a chocolate chip cookie or a brownie. I just put 5 packs of sugar in my coffee. And but really, when you look at your eating right diet, maybe cooking at home rather than going out, regular physical activity like jogging every morning, except for conference week, and getting plenty of rest. Boundaries. How many of you have a hard time setting boundaries? Wow. What prevents you from setting boundaries?
I have a lot to actually attain. I really want to go beyond.
So we're going to go back to the perfectionist, right? The overachiever, type A personality. We should take a look at that, huh? I know. It all makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. Who else has a hard time setting boundaries? See, now your hands are down because I'm going to pick on you. So you have a hard time setting boundaries. What prevents you from setting boundaries?
I think the emotional tie to it, feeling I'm let someone down.
The emotional tie. You don't want to let somebody. Not letting someone down. How many of you? I mean, this is we're in a human service work. How many of you feel like you're afraid of letting somebody down? Or how many of you have clients that you feel like there's nothing enough that you can do to save them to see the shining light in their life? I'm going to tell you, keep going, keep going, keep going, because I was that person, homeless on the streets of New York, minutes before I bled out, before my friends found me. You will make a difference. Just don't give up on that single person or those 2 people or those 3 people. Keep going and going and going. We'll come around. I promise you. It's magic. It happens. Who else has problems setting boundaries? What do you think you need to do to set boundaries?
Learn to say no and
Try to put yourself first. That's good. That's good. Who else is really good at setting boundaries? Who's good at setting boundaries? Wow, nobody here is good at setting boundaries? Okay, I guess we all have homework. Take a daily break from technology. I have to tell you, there's nothing worse than being a speaker. I was in the back of the room watching you all. Everybody, when all the speakers were up. I can't tell you how many hot cell phones were on, Facebook profiles were up, texting was happening, side conversations were engaged. We are here to learn. We are here to change a difference. And I could not be almost 14 years surviving if everybody had their face in their cell phones. I work 3 full-time jobs. I keep my cell phone, for the majority, I would say a good 95% of this conference, in my pocket. I'm going to ask you to try to do the same thing today. See if you can take a break from technology just during our sessions. I know it's going to be hard, and I might even call you out too, so we'll see. Nourish your creative side. How many of you feel like you lack, especially scientists, I always have to ask this. When you're in science, how many of you feel like you're not able to nourish your creative side? Like you're just stuck sort of in this formulas or research or... So looking at your creative side will also help you to maybe avoid burnout. And then you have to learn how to manage your stress. So whether that's, picking up some activity, working out, talking with friends, venting, I wouldn't say punch a wall, but maybe a padded wall, go to the gym, whatever helps. What's that? Hike? Oh, hiking? Yeah, absolutely. And what else? What other things can you do to manage your stress? Yes? Ride a motorcycle. Huh? Do you have a little cab car on the side? Because I want to go. All right, well, step one, sidecar. How many of you think you're already burnt out? How many already think you're burned out? Why do you think you're burned out? Because you're always tired. What do you think is contributing to you being tired? Doing too much, which is working a lot. Anything else other than working? Thinking a lot. Yeah, right? This is like the busiest part of your body, isn't it? Never turns off. The great way to do that is just bang it against a wall and just knock yourself unconscious. It does wonders. No, I'm kidding. What else? So you're working too much. A lot of thinking in your head. Yeah, so your brain is working too much and you're physically working too much. And you're what? Not working out. You have a good support group? Friends? Yeah. So maybe venting some of that, asking for help. How many of you can ask for help? God, that's the worst thing for me. I hate asking for help. You have people you can ask for help, but you're not typically good doing it. See, I'm the same way. I think it's a pride ego thing. If I need to ask for help, then I become vulnerable, and then I become weak, and then I feel like maybe I'm not as smart as I should be. Like I'm supposed to have all the right answers. I just want you to read that. Yeah, easy, slow down. For me to slow my mind down, I go to therapy twice a month, sometimes 4 times a month. I have to. I need like that secret vault where I can just let all of my stuff out, and I just let it there. And I feel like I'm able to. I'm serious. How many of you are in therapy? Because if you're not, you should go. I mean, it's really helpful. Can you relate? Get support? Reevaluate your goals and priorities. Take time to think about your hopes, goals, dreams, so maybe you can restructure your thinking. So your happiness is the key to maintaining balance in life. I can't believe I'm sweating so much up here, but you're just making me hot, and I'm dying up here. So really, your happiness is the key to maintaining balance in life. Slow down. I need you in my life. These next 2.5 days are going to be utterly important. I want to tell you what I did. I want to tell you how my life was actually really intervened by this conference. Sylvia, who you hear speak later, she did this great piece on HPV and pap smears for men who have sex with men. So I didn't even know what a pap smear was. I thought that was a thing for the lady. And had no idea that I should go get tested for a pap smear. None of my IDs told me that I should get tested for HPV. Well, anyway, I was tested. I'm now diagnosed HPV, but it's being monitored. So it's things like this when you listen and pay attention. See, I needed you in my life that day, so it's important to... So now I'm being taken care of. So Sylvia, thank you. So I need all of you in my life. You're all making a difference, so thank you. All right, any other information that you'd like about avoiding burnout, kind of getting yourself back on task where you're at? Thehelpguide.org is where I go. They always have some cool tips, cool things to do. So definitely check out the website, and that's where I get a lot of my information from. So I think we're going to do 2 things. Are there any questions about the conference? Any additional questions about the material you saw earlier? Because we're going to take a group photo and then we're going to break way early for lunch because Professor Charbel is not here from Brazil. As I said, he had an emergency. So rather than hearing me speak for another 30 minutes, we're going to break early for lunch. Anybody else have any questions or anything? Okay. I'm just going to step outside the room, mingle amongst you, and I'm just going to get the photographer to do a group photo. Okay?